Wajua saa zingine ukifanya kitu watu wengi hawaoni mahali unaenda kama kiongozi. Na ni kazi yako kuona mbali. Tuliamua kwamba baada ya kupoteza Comoros away, kudraw Kenya, kupoteza Comoros away, tuliamua kwamba to rebuild hii team, to reboot hii team, tuipatie a new life. Na tukawa na kocha ambaye anaelewa anachotaka kufanya. Tukabadilisha team, akaibadilisha na kuleta vijana. Ukiona wengi sasa kama jana, vijana 6-7 ni vijana wa nyumbani, mechi yao ya kwanza. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa riski sana, kwa sababu unaweza kupoteza ukaona cheche za ukastumble. Lakini tukicheza against Egypt kukawa na possibility. Naweza mshukuru coach kwa sababu kuamua kucheza hao vijana against Egypt haikuwa rahisi. Alafu sasa kwenda away na kucheza na vijana wengi sasa wa home na wale hawajawahi cheza, I think kwangu ni kuonyesha kwamba future ya Kenyan football tumeanza kufungua chapter mpya. Na niko excited, niko grounded but excited kuona I think miaka 10 ijayo will be more successful than the last 30 years. Tunataka kuwa successful in the next 10 years than the last 30 years. You know, we tested players in camp before we left. It's a requirement. We tested before Egypt. We tested before we left for Egypt. And we were all negative. So we landed in Togo and we had Comoros issues fresh in our heads. Because you remember in Comoros, we had this problem. We had a problem on match day in Comoros regarding COVID-19. So when we go to Togo, one of our heads was in COVID-19. So first of all, they tested and they take a little bit longer in that country. So on match day in the morning is when they come and say, you're not okay. And obviously, if you take Olunga, for example, he's been tested from Qatar. You cannot leave Qatar if you're not negative. He was tested when he got here 2 times. Negative. How do you land? And you know, we went by private jet. Very isolated. Our hotel was very isolated. You couldn't see a player anywhere. So we were told in the morning that some of them were positive and some of them were, the status was not clear. So I think it was an afterthought because they picked the core of the team, in my view. I don't want to make accusations. And we found that we don't have the keeper, we don't have Joash, we don't have Michael Olunga. And then later on, we don't have Lawrence Juma. All right. This time our approach was very different. In Comoros, we really caused problems and said our players will play because we know they're negative. And indeed, they were negative. This time we said, okay, we have a team. We put them aside. And we said we're going to play. Guess what? They had no answer. I can tell you, the players are negative. We have tested. It's only 72 hours since we tested. They're negative. But you know, in Africa, we have to think about this because you can see Uganda was complaining and eventually Farouk Mia played. Even though he was being told he was negative. I had the same scenario in Comoros. So COVID-19 is presenting some challenges we have to deal with. Because how do we, if we live here and our players are negative, our government will allow us to leave if they're positive. If we get to your country, how do they become positive within hours? It's a question that CAF has to handle. For me, I am proposing to have neutral doctors and neutral testing when we get to a foreign country. In fact, if you ask me, I'm proposing that a federation like Kenya should not test Egypt. We've never tested anyone and turned out to have a problem. Comoros were here, we never had a problem with them. We tested them, we were clear. No country came to us and tested positive because before they leave, they were negative. My proposal to CAF is that they have to look at this and say, every time we are playing, a neutral testing function, body must test the players. The vaccines are here now. In Kenya, I was talking to CS today, and we are going to vaccinate the players. Very soon, she said she's organizing for us to vaccinate all Premier League players. I know that in the countries that the other players are going will be vaccinated. So moving forward in a couple of months, the issue of PCR test will not arise, but a vaccine certificate. Once you have that, then you can go and play. So these are the issues. There are issues of COVID. I don't want to accuse Togo, but we found it peculiar because we know our players are negative. And that's why they didn't play. But we're also happy they gave us an opportunity, because now we saw Senaj playing, we saw Saruni playing, we saw players that would never have played starting, Clifton Mieso and all these guys. We saw Mwale coming in and playing. I think if the other guys were there, they wouldn't play. So imetusaidia kwa sababu sasa tunaona mahali tunaweza enda. I think I'm happy with it myself. I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm proposing we find ways COVID-19 isiwe ni njia ya watu kulock out wengine. Hata the mental toughness ya kuenda away ukaambiwa toa wachezaji 7, if you're not mentally prepared, I can tell you ni noma sana. So tumeongea na waziri leo asubuhi, ameniambia kwamba tumuandikie. She is keen that if we can implement some things, because we've been playing without fans, as you know, we continue like that. And she is keen that we come back quickly. She is keen that we vaccinate all our players. So ameniambia leo kwamba anapanga tufanye vaccination of all football players and officials in the league, to vaccinate, and then tuendelee na COVID protocol, because nimemweleza kwamba Hassan Abdallah 3 goals in 3 matches, sio magic, it's because of the league. And you notice Togo walikuwa na a lot of local players, but hawana local league. You could see that we are higher than them. You can see even against Egypt, you can see our sharpness of some of our players is because of our league. So we must have our league going on at the shortest period possible. We'll write to her tomorrow. We'll have a chat with her. Hopefully we can have football back ASAP. She told me she's keen to do it, and I think we can do it. And then we go into June knowing